Two very different people with two different goals. These genuine do-gooders beat the odds and persevered beyond the unimaginable.
Especially at the beginning, I was thinking, okay, it won't work because of this. This is a major obstacle which we cannot overcome. But every single obstacle we encountered along the way kept melting away. So it's actually, I really think that I was right all along. It is completely possible, and the obstacles are not insurmountable at all.
It was this determination that Wendy Kopp capitalized on in creating Teach for America, a domestic teacher corps that's grown to just under 5,000 people. Wendy is just like you and I. She was a senior at Princeton on the road to graduation, but her senior thesis project lie in the way. Realizing tomorrow's future lies in the classroom, this genuine do-gooder used her thesis as her playground for making this a better world for our nation's children. However, it baffled many people how she would do this, including her senior thesis advisor.
The idea of a teacher corps seemed, when I first heard it, improbable for a series of reasons. The first is that it was wagering on the idealism of a generation famous, at least in the mass circulation magazines, as apathetic. Secondly, it proposed to let loose a whole set of amateurs in a world where professionals fear to tread. Third, it assumed a kind of organizational ingenuity. She proposed to do this, after all, within a year. Any sane human being who felt the slightest degree of responsibility for her would have told her, as I did, kid, you're deranged.
These roadblocks were only temporary for Wendy Kopp. Within 6 months, her vision became reality. At age 23, Kopp was chief executive of Teach for America, and she was also a national spokeswoman for educational reform.
Ms. Kopp, what a fabulous idea. Can you give us an overview and a progress report?
Sure. We've created a national teacher corps, really. A group of individuals who are united by their commitment to education, who have committed to teach for 2 years in inner cities and rural areas that have persistent teacher shortages.
Every year, more than 1,000 corps members are teaching children at 13 urban and rural centers. Kopp's endless enthusiasm and determination spelt success for Teach for America.
After 20 years as a bureaucrat, I gotta say, I've seen a lot of ideas come, but I've never seen one grow and bloom like this one.
Your ideas can bloom into wonderful creations regardless of your class, race, and sex. This next do-gooder went from this squalor to President of South Africa. How did he do it?
He's got iron will, if you want to know what makes him tick. He sets his mind on doing something, and he becomes unshakable.
In 1948, white Afrikaners gained power in South Africa and instituted apartheid. Blacks were forced from their homes and completely separated from whites. But as the repression escalated, so did Mandela's efforts. He's committed his life to finding peace and equality in South Africa.
One of the great lessons of Nelson Mandela is a lesson about courage, both physical courage and moral courage. He was frightened. He was frightened many times throughout his life, but he would never show it. He triumphed over his fear by realizing that as a leader he had to show courage. And that is one of the great lessons that Mandela has to teach us.
He held this country together when we could have been blown to smithereens.
To hold his country together, Mandela spent 27 years of his life in prison, but he continued to believe in the power of his dream. In 1976, black student protesters were killed by security in Soweto, This sent a signal through the streets of Africa that things needed to change. Mandela and the government realized they needed each other.
It had to be done in a way that was totally devoid of bitterness. He couldn't be seen to be bitter. He had to be bigger than it all.
But negotiations moved slowly until the election of F.W. de Klerk in 1989. Within 2 months, Mandela was released from prison.
Mandela is a leader, he's a fighter, was a freedom fighter, and he's a person that can take very, very difficult decisions. Sometimes he goes where angels may fear to tread. That's Mandela.
Mandela was an instant hero. 500,000 people packed Cape Town to hear him speak. Apartheid was gone. This do-gooder became a candidate for president.
One Mandela! One president!
Mandela knew that he would see the day when one man would mean one vote. And he wasn't going to give up until this changed. But he couldn't have done it without de Klerk. The two of them received the Nobel Peace Prize.
Not least amongst them is my Deputy President, the Honorable F.W. de Klerk.
South Africa still has many issues to tackle, but the people have a lot to dance about. Both Wendy Kopp and Nelson Mandela have devoted their lives to bettering society. Teach for America and the equality of South Africa are only experiments. It's unclear how long they'll last. Regardless of their longevity, these do-gooders proved anything is possible when you put your mind to it.